Hello, it's me with another one of these things. Just come in from a walk and I'm all a bit hot and flustered. So let's get down to it. Hot and flustered is the new rock and roll. Hot and flustered. It's not going to take off, is it? Right. First question in is from Steve O, in brackets, not that one. Okay, I'll take your word for that. What's your thoughts on censorship of explicit song lyrics? And is this something you ever consider when writing songs? Do they still censor song lyrics? I'm here with producer Phil, I'm glad to see you this week. So I've got an oracle with me. They do, because I've been listening to a lot of I love what people are doing with pop. I love what girls are doing with pop now, and the lyrics are invariably fucking filthy. And I was listening to Sabrina Carpenter's album, and I mean, it's not hurting her sales that she's effing and jeffing all over her songs, or any of these new artists. So does it matter anymore? People censoring? I'm not sure. We were recording the album that we've just recorded, and I was told that the label might have a problem with one of the songs making reference to do an E in the 90s. And I'm like, but it says, I think it said shit or something in the song. And they're like, oh, they're not so bothered about that. I reckon it's all just a load of whatever's going on now. And things just changed, don't they? They just changed. Times change. People changed. Standards change. And there's not anything that you can't write about, because next year is probably going to be everyone's writing about it. Just took my glasses off and realised I can't fucking say without them. But yeah, I don't write lyrics with censorship in mind, obviously, but I think one of the problems I've got is I realised the other day I'm never going to be covered by another artist because of the lyrics that I write, because they're kind of they're very northern. The humour's very northern, so it doesn't translate. It's not very international, and obviously I don't mind swearing, because I do swear in real life. So I write lyrics in the same way, really. Can't say that I've ever thought about lyric censorship ever in my life. So there you go, Steve-O. I don't give a shit about censorship. I don't think anyone cares about censorship anymore. It's not really a thing. Kevin Reynolds, on the other hand, says, remember there being a few Wildhearts fans being offended by your song, Your Mouth? I think it's a great song, and every time I play it, I think of Dennis Pennis singing and playing on the piano. Is this a song written about anyone in particular? Yeah, it was written about me. My mouth is going to get me killed one day. Was it offended by it? What would be it's going to get you killed one day. You open a lot, and the most casual is the ugliest part of your entire face. And one of these days, I'm going to beat your mouth. Yeah. It's written. It's really written about me. I don't think I was physically going to beat my own mouth. I think I was just going to beat the need to open it up in situations that didn't warrant my opinions. I've always been a very opinionated person, but they've not always been on the money. That didn't stop them coming. I'm getting closer every day to the person that I want to be. I think that's all you can really ask for, isn't it? It's weird because me and Phil has been talking, and then we put the camera on and I'm not allowed to look at him and talk to him anymore. So I feel like I'm ignoring him in the corner of the room now. But yeah, Your Mouth is a good one, that. It was me and a guy called Buzz Osborne. And he was a famous session player, played for Willie Nelson. And he was the guy that said, have you seen Bucky? And I was like, who's Bucky? And he said, Bucky's the ghost. And I was like, well, there's been a lot of weird stuff going on in the studio. And he went, yeah, that's Bucky. When the session's going well, which this one seems to be, Bucky turns up. And I was like, that's weird. And then he went to show me Willie Nelson's, the foyer was covered in old pictures of Willie and people and stuff. And I remember first walking into the studio and catching an eye on Willie and this one guy and thinking, oh, he's a nice looking character. I hope he turns up. And it turns out that this guy was Willie's old engineer who died, who is Bucky. And so I clocked this guy before Buzz Osborne had told me that's Bucky the ghost. So that was a nice thing. So Your Mouth is a lovely memory. I like. Stu says, knowing you're a fan of good lyrics, which I am, I'm also a fan of bad lyrics. Don't think that I'm any kind of lyric Nazi. I like really good bad lyrics. You know, oh my God, I listened to fucking Paul Stanley's solo album the other day. Oh, that's bad lyrics. Bad lyrics. Bulletproof was no, it Live to Win, wasn't it? But I remember reading Kerrang, and it must have been someone in the advertising department having a bit of a laugh, and they put the advert in for bulletproof, and they missed the R out, so it said bulletproof, and a big picture of Paul Stanley. And then I saw this video of them being interviewed by some guy who was wearing a Iron Maiden t-shirt, and they told him to take his t-shirt off because they were offended that he wasn't wearing a Kiss t-shirt. And the fragility of the egos, considering how much money they were presumably making at the time, but how much they meant to me. And now I'm going to keep looking over to you because I can't help it. But I just remember thinking, you've got all of that and your Kiss and your Gene Simmons and your Paul Stanley, and you're going to be offended by some guy's t-shirt not being your band. But the best thing about this interview is Eric Singer, the new Peter Criss character. Mm-hmm. He's going, yeah, you wouldn't go to a Raiders game wearing an Eagles shirt, would you? And I'm like, what the fuck is he? Who are you? And then he drops his drumstick, and you know that noise when the drumstick hits a ground, and it just goes clunk, 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 clunk for fucking 5 minutes. It just doesn't stop bouncing. It was fantastic. And you were just like, there you go. That's Kiss. I can't think that there's a band that are more of a disappointment than Kiss. I can't think that there's a band from that era, the 70s, that fans cringe as much as with Kiss.
And it's a shame because so many great memories from them, you know.
Brilliant memories. Well, they invented a lot of what we now class as like big rock. You know, rock and roll shows, the big rock show. Obviously, they inspired me a lot, but I see the inspiration of Kiss in thrash. I see that they were all Ace Frehley fans, Anthrax and Metallica and all that. They, you know, may not have been Kiss fans, but they loved Ace Frehley. A lot of drummers, those thrash drummers, grew up on Peter Criss. But Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley just really did turn cringe, super cringe, didn't they?
Have you seen the Paul Stanley singing A Whole Lot of Love?
No, I can't.
You need to see it. You need to see it. He's playing I think it's a private party for something, like a corporate event or something like that. And
he hasn't got the range. He hasn't got the range up there.
We know that after watching it.
The thing is, Paul Stanley, his voice was fine until he started pushing his to high end. And then you knew it was like, well, enjoy it while it lasts, because that's not your natural range. You can stretch your range, but I don't think you can start developing a brand new, you can't just be a soprano or a tenor, isn't it? But then his voice started suffering. But in the 70s, he had one of the best rock and roll voices, I thought. Paul Stanley's voice. It was the voice that informed a lot of 70s singers. I guess he got a lot of it from Steve Marriott, though, who was a tenor. So he was probably trying to be Steve Marriott when he doing the high notes. We digress. When we've now gone into that thing that people do on podcasts when they're just having a chat with each other, and you're sitting there going like, enjoy that, lads. Do you want a biscuit with that? Anyway, back to the question. Knowing you're a fan of good lyrics, I was wondering what you thought of Beans on Toast. Always found him a witty storyteller, and I've seen you on the same gig lineup previously. Yes, he's a friend of Frank Turner's. We did a gig with him and Frank in Newcastle. I think we went down possibly the worst that any support bands ever went down for Frank Turner. And we were really, really, really loud that night. I remember for some reason it was just one of those nights where everyone was just feeling a little bit, well, it was a lot of nights like that with the last lineup where it wasn't gelling. Everything was a little bit all over the place. So we just thought, fuck it, just be really loud and piss everyone off. And we did, and we pissed everyone off. Beans and Toast was there, and he was really nice. And I think he wanted some weed, and I had some weed in the car, and I went and got it. And yeah, Newcastle, that's right. And he was really, really, really chuffed. And from that, and you know, I got a really nice vibe off him, really nice vibe. And I haven't seen him since then, I don't think, and I really like him. I haven't heard a lot of his stuff, but I know that he's a poet first and a writer second. I think he started out as a poet, didn't he? So yeah, I imagine his lyrics are really, really good. And if his music is as good as his lyrics, then let me know what I should listen to. I'm going to go on Spotify and I'm going to jump in, but let me know what I should listen to. Because I always listen to the one that's got the best cover, which is never the best idea. Someone got in touch with me yesterday and told me about a band called Bad Nerves. And I hadn't heard about them. And they're fucking amazing. Oh, they're so good. It's like pop, punk, rock and roll. But it's really good. And the guy's got one of those voices, a bit like Peter from the only ones. Really, really good, really good. Bad Nerves, their last album, that's a really good one. The second part of the question is, was the full story getting taken off the Izzy Stradlin tour back in the day? Was it down to management, or did you ever get an explanation of Izzy himself? Well, no, we didn't get an explanation of Izzy himself. No one knows what it was. I presume, I think I can assume that he thought I was going to turn up and be, because I was from the Choir Boys, I was going to be in scarves and cowboy boots and be playing like Faces material. And the Wildhearts turned up, and we don't sound a lot like that kind of music. So I think he probably just heard, or his management heard us and just went, they're actually like a metal punk kind of weird band. I imagine it was that. I don't know what else it could have been. I know that we were doing really good business on t-shirts. Maybe that had something to do with it. I know that we almost sold out of t-shirts for that whole tour on that first day, which is Nottingham Rock City. We did tremendous business, and I doubt very much he did as good business as we did that night. And then the second night, we went to collect our merchandise because it went with his vans, and we weren't playing, so we got the merchandise and we walked through the bar and we sold it. We went to the bar and started selling the merchandise at the bar, and I think we probably sold more merchandise than him the second night, and we weren't even playing. But basically the thing was, he wanted a rock and roll band, as you would if you sounded like Izzy Stradlin and you were from Guns N' Roses. You're not going to want a riff band, are you? Really loud riff band. But I never got an explanation of Izzy himself. I don't suppose that he really thought about it that much. I don't suppose that Izzy thinks about me that much. But I like Izzy. He's a cool character. I like what he brought to Guns N' Roses. I thought that was a really integral part of their whole look. And that glam thing was like, I didn't like the real big glammy hair, but I liked the Stones look. I like the rock and roll sleazy kind of thing. And I think without Izzy and I guess Duff, they might have been a little bit more. They might have looked a little more like Poison. So yeah, Izzy and Duff, I think, brought the sleaze and the rock and roll and the punk. Davey Hot Rod says, I don't know if you... Oh, the Sands of Time have not yet spoken. Did it? Pleases me. Davey Hot Rod, I don't know if you read these comments, but one unexpected rider item on the Christmas acoustic tour was some homemade spiced cider that we made from apples literally scrumped from our orchard at work, brewed in a most washed detergent drum. I gifted a couple of wine bottles to Dunk, and he said it tasted like Christmas, but we ended up dribbling incoherently after half a bottle each. We didn't know how to stop it fermenting, so it was about 25% by the last bottle. Dunk said the second bottle was shared in shot glasses for the safety of the band and crew. What tour was this again? Just going to go back there. 2017?
Christmas acoustic. Yeah.
Christmas Acoustic 2017. What the hell was I doing then? It wasn't that long ago. They're usually the hardest memories to access, the ones that were quite recent. I don't remember. But because I can't remember, give us some more. If you're still making it, why don't you do it again this Christmas? I know a band who are touring at Christmas and would love some spiced cider, rum, fermented, whatever.
Who's that?
The Wildhearts. We're going out in December. I'm enjoying talking to Phil more than I'm enjoying looking away from him today, to be honest. I'm not enjoying being the pod guy. But not that it's all about enjoying myself. It's all about doing the best that I can possibly do at any given time. And that's what we're all here for, to do the best that we can do. Because we're here to be the best. There's no other thing to be. But yeah, bring us some more homemade... Bring us homemade alcohol, people. You know, honestly, we're still one of those bands who like to drink. I mean, I don't get fucked up anymore, and I'm having a sober period now, and I'm really enjoying it actually, because it gets a little bit harder every time I decide to go and get myself in really good shape. And I like that. I like the struggle. Life is about struggle. It's about coming to terms with it and doing it like you fucking love it. That's what it's about. Jem says, who would you say is your favourite mainstream rock band? And also your favourite underground band? Probably one that not many of us will have heard of. Loving the band recommendations, by the way. Right, here we go. These are the kind of questions I like to answer. My favourite mainstream rock band? I'm not sure there are any great mainstream rock bands. You tell me who is a great mainstream rock band. I can't think of one. I'm not a big fan of Foo Fighters. I don't think Metallica are amazing anymore. Mainstream rock. I guess my favourite mainstream rock band right now is Youngblood, because it is gone mainstream. He's went to America. He's clearing up like he said he would. And he's also getting his detractors. And that's the sign. It's not when everyone says something's great. It's when people start saying, no, it's shit. That's when you know the fucking touch paper's been well and truly lit. So I would say my favourite mainstream rock band is Youngblood, who is not a band but a person, but plays in a band. And I really like that he's ruffling feathers. You know, it's a good sign. He's going out there and he's giving it. He's got his fucking top off. He's having his day in the sun, and he's taking full advantage of it. And God bless him for it. Underground. There's loads of great underground bands. Honestly, I listen to there's Bad Nerves that I've just told you about. Charles, our drummer, told me about a band called Better Lovers, which was is the singer from Dillinger. And it's his band. Their albums last year. I can't believe that Bad Nerves and Better Lovers albums were last year, and I missed them both. But it doesn't matter, because that's the beauty of music. It's timeless, and so you can listen to last year's music like it's this year's music. But they were great. Better Lovers, that's a fantastic album. The one last year, I forgot what it's called. The first half especially. The second half goes a little bit into Dillinger territory, which is fine. I love Dillinger Escape Plan. I've got Dillinger Escape Plan. I don't need the Dillinger Escape Plan's new thing to sound like Dillinger Escape Plan. Rather, it's them, obviously. But the first half is like what you imagine Faith No More. And I like that guy from Dillinger. I can't remember his name. And he's got quite a memorable name. So I'm putting that down to my frame of mind and not his lack of memorability in his name. But I always fancied hearing what he would sound like singing, because I had a sneaking suspicion he's probably got a good voice. He has got a good voice. He's got a really good voice. Producer Phil's clicking away. I think he's finding this fella's name for me. But that's really good. Better Lovers. Greg Puciato, that's the singer's name. Yeah. And he's fantastic. He's fantastic. Really, really a big fan of him and his talents. And yeah, like I say, the first half of the Better Lovers album is it's taken rock. And I was listening to it and just thinking, if this is now where rock's going to go mainstream, I love it, because it was nice and extreme. The extremes were nice and extreme, but it was still commercial. You know, I've always thought that rock can go bigger and noisier and things like that. And it doesn't have to just be vanilla, although I do like vanilla. But there you go. There's a couple of tips from the top of my underground rock and roll thing. Andy E, what's the strangest rumour you've ever heard about yourself? Also, have you started any rumours? I don't believe people start rumours, Phil. I've never needed to start rumours about myself. I have to say, I don't know whether I'm flattered, I'm chuffed or otherwise about that. But I've never had to start rumours about myself, because there's always been real ones going around. The strangest rumour, I don't know. I don't think there are any. I'm stranger than all the rumours that I've heard about myself, to be honest. Whenever I hear anything about me, it's all I heard, Ginger was in here and he pissed in the corner. I was actually shitting in the corner somewhere else, kind of thing. Paraphrasing. Yeah, I've had such a spicy life. It's been not without occasion, my life. And so the rumours barely scratch the surface of the real stuff. I spend a lot of my time trying to keep some of the real stuff down, or have done in the past, so it doesn't get out. Make of that what you will. But I don't know about rumours. I've never been one for gossip. I've never been big on gossip. I like to hear someone's doing well, but I'm not really big for rumours and what's going on about people. I don't think I've really cared that much about people. The human race in general. I'm really glad that I know some lovely people, but as far as what people are doing, never, ever really cared, to be honest. Ben says, if the Wildhearts weren't called the Wildhearts, what were the other name options? Was there another name which you preferred? Who chose the name in the end? I don't think there was. I don't think there was any other names in the running. I'm trying to think if there was any other names, but I honestly don't think there was. I like the name the Wildhearts. I told you not that many pods ago, it was from a guy called Berry Burgess, who sang in a band called The Architects that I played with. And The Architects were originally called Wildheart. And I told him, as I was saying, I'm going to do my own thing now. Can I use that name? And he went, yeah, lovely fella. And so I kind of pinched the name off him And it was the only name that I had in my head, really. But my friend Panda, one of my oldest friends from South Shields, he had two names that I loved. And one was Excretabix, which I could well have used if I hadn't have already had a name. And the other one was Twat, which was short for Thin, White and Tasty, or Thin, White and Tasteless. And so it probably would have been one of them two. I would have got Panda to think of a name for me. But I don't know. I think the Wildhearts was always going to be the name of the band. Excited for the new album. I see you've been in the studio this last week mixing. We're also very excited. Can you give us an update on how it's sounding? It's really good. It's really good. It's nice and noisy, but it's not just noise. So when it goes heavy or when it goes into a riff and stuff, it hits you nice and noisy. But then we had a bunch of children come along and sing on a few songs, and that just turns it into Annie the musical. So that's an element of it, as well as it being noisy in other places. And then there's parts that are just really musical and really fun. And Charles the drummer plays a blinder on it, so there's some amazing drum bits. And me and Carol are singing a lot together, and that's a lovely sound. And our voices really mesh well, and it makes a lovely sound. I've noticed that I'm trying to look at the little green light because that's where my eyes, connect to yours. And I've noticed that when I watched my podcast the other week, when I had a drink, I don't look at the camera very often. I'm like this. And that's what I do when I'm thinking. All over the place when I'm thinking. So if I'm not trying to avoid eye contact, I'm just thinking. But yes, me and Carol got a lovely sound together. John's bass sounds ridiculous. It really does sound like a beast. It's a really interesting record. It starts off with a song that is not designed but guaranteed to confuse you, and then it goes into more familiar territory, and then you're like, we're in, and then it takes you all over the place. It's got a lovely momentum, and it's got also a side one and a side two, but it also plays well as a complete performance. But the second half definitely starts motoring along. It's just got a lovely shape. I love this album. It's definitely my favourite Wildhearts album of them all, maybe ever. Really, really fond. Really, it's got a special place in my heart, this one. Really, really special place. And I think you're all going to love it. I really do. I really do. Richard from Wednesbury. God, I used to spend so much time in Wednesbury. I'm off to see The Drowns tonight, and it made me think, do you get to many gigs as a punter? No, I live in the middle of fucking nowhere. I tried to book a gig. I was talking to producer Phil the other week about booking a gig at the, what's it called? The Tan Hill Inn. I went in there after our conversation, went in there for a pint, spoke to the guy, and he went, well, what music do you play? And I'm like, well, it's a band called the Wildhearts. You can look them up. Well, we only do tribute acts. And at that point, I realised I could have got myself a gig there if I went, well, I'm a Wildhearts tribute.
You could.
I could have done. But I would have had to have been a Wildhearts tribute band to get a gig in this pub because they wouldn't book the real singer. So I don't get the gig. There's no gigs around here. There's no gigs. There was a big party the other week, and that was brilliant. But you don't come to the Yorkshire Dales because you're a gig goer. And to be honest, I got bored of going to gigs a while ago just because I got sick of seeing bands going through the motions. I got sick of seeing the frontman be the last frontman that I'd seen. And, it was just about, when I was really going to my last gigs, it was when hardcore was back. So all the singers were all being this hardcore guy, and they were all doing these two moves. And one of the moves was that, and one of the moves was that. And then they'd all shout for the pit to do something, and I'd just be like, every gig that's the front man. I'm not going to get Dave Lee Roth on a surprise Wednesday. So I got bored of going. I love to see bands, but the only time I get to see bands is when we're doing festivals or they're supporting us. That's why I always try and pick the bands that we play with really well, because I want to watch them. So the last great band I watched was Silver Roller, because they were supporting us at our last gig. Holmfirth, and they were brilliant. So that was fantastic. But I don't get to see many bands these days. Who was the last band you saw? Silver Roller. Who's the best band I ever saw? Best band I ever saw? Oh, see, that's a hard one because there's so many. Best band or best gig? Best gig, you say Rammstein. But best band? I'm not sure Rammstein are the best band. Best band. I'm still taken to a gig I saw. I was invited to go and I didn't even want to go, and I was hungover, and I was dragged along to see John Cougar Mellencamp, and he played Hammersmith Audience. First time I'd seen a band without any monitors. It was a complete white stage. They had two big black backing singers, and the only reason I'm saying they were big black backing singers is because they were doing this thing where they were jumping off the front of this podium and somersaulting in the air. So being big was, made it even more impressive. And they were black because they had fucking gorgeous voice, big gospel voices, fucking beautiful. White girls can't sing like gospel black girls. They just can't. But I do love white pop as well. So fuck all y'all if you're trying to screw any racist innuendos in here, because there are none. Honestly, I've never got racism. Never. I don't get it now. The rise again. Elon's trying to fucking get it up on Twitter, getting everyone's backs up. And I went to the studio, and the most depressing thing was we went to the studio and we're travelling from one studio to another studio to record the kids. It was about a 45-minute drive. And there was those flags, George flag. For 45 minutes I saw nothing but George flags. And looking at the area, I'm thinking, these are not affluent people. This is not like a well-educated area. Not everyone who puts a flag out is a racist, but everyone who's a racist puts a flag out. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. People that are ruining this country aren't in boats and they're being fucking chauffeur driven somewhere. They're in a fucking Armani fucking suit. Human race. But yeah, that was pretty miserable. Very depressing memory. I'll get rid of that one. Who's the worst band? I don't know. I will say the worst band I've ever seen is the Wildhearts, because I've been in the Wildhearts when we've played some gigs that were just utter dog shit. There was one I'm thinking of where we played and Danny had walked off the stage, so we played the gig as a 3-piece, and as he walked off the stage, people are giving him drinks and passing them drugs and stuff. I'm just thinking, this audience don't really care if we're good or not. I forget what gig that was. It was a weird one. But yeah, as sucky bands go, the Wildhearts have been suckier than any band I've ever seen. Because most bands go there and at least they try to get through the set, even if they're not all playing the same song. But yeah, I don't even know if I answered that question properly. Sarah Miles, Away Girl. I see what you did there. What is the last album that you bought, and do you tend to buy physical copies straight away or listen online to see if you like it before buying? I've stopped buying albums sight unseen because I got ripped off so many times by bands writing shit albums. You fucking know who you are. 3 good songs and then fill the rest with a bunch of stuff. And so yeah, I listen to everything on Spotify. And sometimes lately, and I won't say who, but there's a couple of people I love have made albums that I really didn't like, so I didn't buy them. So I'll listen to that again on Spotify and I'll try to like it, but I'm not going to buy an album if I don't like it. But I will play an album until I like it, if that makes sense. But invariably I'll listen to something once and go, that's good enough for me to get the vinyl. And I prefer to listen to everything on vinyl. I like my stereo. It's my old stereo. I know how things sound. If it's a great record, they're going to sound really good. It's an old, don't even know what it is. Technics. It's an old Technics thing. And I just love the way it sounds. But I'm one of them people that can listen to music on anything. I don't mind. It doesn't really bother me if it's one of these things or not, as long as the music's good. But so I listen to an album, and if I like it, I won't listen to it again on Spotify unless I order it from Discogs and it takes 6 months to fucking arrive, like some of them do. And then when they do arrive, I've had some records from Discogs recently, and they've been terrible quality, scratched to fuck. I bought a Mastodon the one the other day, and the guy couldn't have give less of a shit. And well, I'm not going to get annoyed with him. He obviously just doesn't care. And, if you don't care, if you're selling records to people and you don't care about the quality, there's probably loads in your life you don't care about, in which case you're just spinning in unhappy circles. And I just hope that those people find things that they do care about, because it'll affect everything. And every point of their life will be touched by the fact that they care about something. But yeah, listen and then buy. Always buy. Do you or any of the rest of the band have any pre-show rituals? The weirder the better, or is it just straight on stage with no fuss? That's from Ginger Winners. Usually And traditionally, I have always just went straight on stage. You see, it's usually American bands that used to do it, but you see these American bands have these things where they've got the hands in the middle and they're doing the big woo. I'm like, it would make me so embarrassed I would walk on stage half of myself. I'd be a shell of myself having to do something like that. But recently, Carol does this thing where we do a breathing exercise. And because Carol's very holistic, I was like, I'll do a breathing exercise. And we just pull in she does it. I don't know quite what she says because I've always got my eyes closed and just doing what she tells me to do. But breathe in a light from the top and it goes through your head, through your body, out your feet, back up. And she does that a number of times. And we've had a couple of times where there's been stuff going on in my personal life where it's threatened to derail the gig. I've never had a bad gig since we started doing this. So I completely believe it. Only in as much as we go on stage in the same headspace. You haven't got, one person going over there chatting to someone in the crowd, another person going off there and having a drink and forgetting to play the first song. Everyone's in the same headspace. Everyone's ready for the beginning of the show. So that's my on-stage ritual now. And I would hate to go on stage without it because it's lovely. It's a lovely little kind of get-together where everyone just, we're not holding hands and stuff like that, but we're just getting in the frame of mind of there's people out there. If you forget that, you're a cunt. And I mean, that's what it is. There's a lot of people came out to see you. Those tickets weren't cheap. Give them a show. Get your fucking shit sorted out. Get on there and do your job properly. So yeah, if anything that makes you do that, if it's one of these hands in the air, hey, how awesome are we? I'm not very little interested in all of that. Kez Paranormal Queen says, have you ever had a paranormal or explainable experience? Yes. I keep seeing orbs and mist in the background on your pods. Have you seen anything in your house? Do you know the history of it and what it's built on? It's built on ground. Built on fucking Yorkshire ground. I don't know any history of this. I know the house is 200 years old, which predates all the wars that would have destroyed this fucking land anyway. There's an energy where I live, and I don't know what it is. Whether it's just nature, I'm not. It's certainly not confined to the house. It's just feels like there's a field of energy here, and whenever people come here, they are affected by it and they leave my place in a more positive frame of mind. I'd like to think that that's my influence, my chilled out inspiration, but it's not. It's the energy of the place, and it is like a little retreat. It's a funny place. But have I had any unexplainable experiences? Loads, but I don't put them down to anything. There was a funny one. I think I told you about the door opening and closing beginning of this year, and it could have been drafts. I couldn't find a draft. I couldn't see where the draft would come, but drafts do that. I'm the biggest skeptic in the world when it comes to my own experiences. I'm not going to be duped by anything. It's got to really hit me hard for me to go like, that definitely happened. Like the song Northern Spirit that was written, I tell people it was written by this area, by the energy in this area. I 100% believe that because I didn't write it. There was never a point where I sat down and wrestled with the guitar. It just was all. But I get that. I got that today. I got another song today. I thought of this riff and I had my phone with me and I put it down on my phone and then I listened and I'm clicking my fingers and I can't hear where the one is on the original idea. So now I've got to go back to my phone, learn the riff as I hear it now, and then remember what it was so I can play it both ways. And if you take the one from any riff and you move it a bar in, it changes the riff completely. So I'm going to make a new song that's got actually two riffs that are the same riff, which I've never done before. And if you're sitting on the guitar, there's no way you'd think of that. You'd not go, that's a fucking great riff. Now I'm going to learn to play it in a different. Well, I would never do that. So I only do that when the energy of this area is getting to me. But I've had loads of unexplainable experiences. I was thinking about this with in conjunction with the UFO thing. I'm not sure whether the UFO experience is manipulation of our reality. So it's not physical. It's a non-physical phenomenon, but it must be able to take on physical form. Or can something that is non-physical assume physical form because physicality is limited? It's so limited you can manipulate it easily. If you can get between the atoms, the spaces between the atoms, then you can manipulate physicality. I think there's a lot of that going on. If they're a really advanced species, I mean, I'm thinking of stuff like that, and I'm a fairly thick human. So there's probably quantum physicians out there that are thinking about this on a much more scientific level, and then an advanced species would be able to really have fun with this. But I've seen a lot of things in the UFO field, things in the sky that seem solid, but have had witnesses. Now, that's the other thing. If you're looking at something and there's witnesses, something's manipulating all of your reality, or it's actually physical, or both. Maybe the physical realm is the matrix, is the game, and then we're all able to fuck with that ourselves. And I do believe that that's kind of part of it. But when a few people see the same thing, me and Ralph Jessard, we both saw that ghost. We both saw Bucky. We both saw things moving. There was a door slammed that we both saw. We saw someone in the big live room, and it was someone with a white shirt on and dark hair, and we both saw it. And that's a weird one. That's a weird one. This is why it fucking fascinates me, the non-physical experience, the human experience, the non-physical component of it. Because if it does exist, which I'm sure everyone now realizes that it probably does, because energy's energy and we're all using waves and stuff, then it's a much bigger part than the physical part. So it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I am absolutely fascinated by the whole thing. But it just means that the more you get into it, the more you realize that the physical side means less and less. And I think for anyone whose life is getting on top of them, and they're struggling to delve into the non-physical reality, because it makes the physical much easier to deal with, because you just see it as being a bit of a joke. It's all stupid, basically patently stupid. A lot of the attitudes of people, a lot of the way that societies govern themselves, a lot of the way that governments govern people, it's so cruel. That the only way to make sense of it is to see it from a vantage point where there's a comedy element as well. I'm going round in circles here, and I think it's probably wise to go into another question. But yeah, I've seen loads of stuff that I don't know, basically. Don't think ghosts are real. But my sister was here recently. She said something poked her in the back of the neck. So I'm more inclined to think that was just some feeling in my sister's neck rather than something poking her in the neck. I don't believe that. I don't buy ghosts. I'm not convinced in ghosts. I'm not convinced in UFOs. I'm not convinced in aliens. But I do think that there's a physical component to the non-physical phenomenon. J.R. Remke asks, thank you for the update on It Came From the North, and I assume Bebop narrative. I don't even like saying those fucking album titles. It's awful. I don't even like saying those album titles, because it just makes me sad how long people have been waiting for them. And I'm sure people think that I, as the musician, I'm in charge of administration, manufacturing, and fulfillment and all of that. But I'm not. That's what a business is. You have a business with people, and other people are in charge of the stuff that you're not very good at. And I'm not management material. I don't want to be management. I don't want to. But when it comes to an issue that's still unresolved after 3 years, and I find out, once they've been assured that is being looked after, I found out that it's not being looked after and people are being lied to, that's when I'm like, fuck this, I can't move while this shit's going on. This is not, people aren't doing the job and people are being ignored. So I jumped in, and I've only been doing it a few weeks now, and people are already got almost all of their CDs. I've just given away every penny that I own to pay for manufacturing, which I really didn't mind doing because it's the right thing to do. So the vinyl are going to get manufactured. You are going to get your vinyl. I don't manufacture vinyl. I don't send it out. I'd like to see you'll get it before Christmas. I fucking will work tirelessly, but if I see you'll get it before Christmas and you don't, then I'm the cunt again, So listen, I am going to make this happen. I promise, and I don't promise lightly, but I also will say that I'm not in management or admin or fulfillment or manufacturing or any of that crap. I don't want to be. I'm the creative part. I give those lot stuff to sell, and then they're supposed to go and sell it and then report back to me that everything's going great. And when it doesn't go right, yeah, I'm left fucking having to deal with it all. I don't mind doing it, but don't be thinking it's me that's went away living off all your money. This is costing me a lot of money. So I'm not getting rich on your money. No one's getting rich on your money. It's just getting spent unwisely, but I'm not spending it. Both of those were amongst my favourite albums of your career. I'm so sorry. I was wondering how you rate those two against the material from the Wildhearts. It's the same as the PHUQ thing. It was such a disappointment at the time when it wasn't a double album, and then I thought I'm going to make the double album one day, and it plagued me, and I eventually did it, and then COVID hit, and no one got their copies of PHUQ. I can't listen to that album now. It doesn't matter how good it is, and I'm sure it's a good album. I'm sure the double album's fucking amazing. I ain't heard it. I can't listen to Bebop, and I can't listen to It Came From the North. There's just so much unpleasant memories stored in there for me that it would just be like trying to shove a fucking pineapple up my arse. And that's, one day maybe I will fancy shoving a pineapple up my arse and having a listen. But now it's all just too raw. How it rates against the Wildhearts material, the new stuff, is I've really enjoyed the process of doing the Wildhearts album, and there's a big difference. It's funny, I've been doing some notes on Wildhearts singles, top 20 Wildhearts singles, and a podcast, and I've realised I can't do the top 20 Wildhearts singles like that, like my favourite songs, because some of the experiences were so rotten that it couldn't be number one if it was the worst time of my life. Or the video was rubbish, but the song was good, or something. So I'm going to compile the top 20 Wildhearts singles, but the story around them, including the video. And that's how I'm going to make my ranking. And I realised once I did that, this could actually be fun, because I know what's going to be number one already. I think everyone knows what the most fun video we ever did has got to be number one in the Wildhearts singles, regardless of the song, regardless of the record company. It was such a great memory. So the difference for me and for listeners is that the memories stored in the experience can spoil it for me. And yeah, that's going to be a fun list. I was just thinking about it this morning. Some going to be good stories. So yeah, that's going to be a good, probably next one. Whenever I do the podcasts or ranking stuff, it takes me a week to put the list and then to, my fucking mind to go, no, that one's got to go there. Oh, that one's got to go. What about that one? That takes a week. Researching. Fucking, all right. Anyway, it'll be a good one. Maybe the next one. Gaz asks, hi Ginger. Hi Gaz. If I may, I have a book recommendation for you. I like book recommendations. Hardest Geezers, Mind Over Miles by Russ Cook. 366 marathons in 352 days. Inspiration, mind over matter, gratitude, empathy, and everything in between. Not a page went by where I wasn't in awe or astonishment. It doesn't set a fire in one's belly to grab life by the balls and face it head on in regards to fulfilling their dreams. I don't know what will. My question is a hard one, I imagine. I look forward. I actually thought that's the book I don't want to read, and now I really do want to read it. So thank you very much, guys. I will read that. I like the same thing. I like testimony of man's ability to deal with hardship. I'm a big fan of that. My question is a hard one, I imagine, but would you consider doing a top 20 of your favourite autobiography, music-based or otherwise? Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah, that's a great idea, guys. That's a really good idea. Because I'm forever, whenever anyone goes on holiday, on hospitals, I'm sitting across to producer Phil here, who actually did go to hospital, and I did get a load of autobiographies for him to read. But I'm forever telling people what autobiographies to read for certain situations. If someone's on a flight, there are certain books that you shouldn't read because it'll make you anxious. And if someone's on a beach, there's certain books where you don't want to read because they'll make you angry. But there are some fucking... I would love to research my top 20 autobiographies because it would go back and remind me. I've got a very terrible memory, but I forget a lot of books that I read, and I've got a thing where I just get a book and I love it so much I give it away. I give it to someone, and then I forget all about it. And it isn't until years later someone says, "Oh, listen to Williams. It's got an autobiography." Oh wow, I'll go and buy it. And I realise I did buy it and I give it away and I'd already read it. And it was fucking boring. Not boring, just uneventful. See, not all autobiographies have to be really eventful, but probably the most memorable ones will have been, although some autobiographies I've enjoyed because I haven't known anything about the guy. There was an amazing rugby player one where he went through crack addiction and he broke his back, I think, and just all of these terrible things, and he got through it, and that was amazing. Give it away to the next person that I spoke to, and I can't remember anything about it. or let alone the guy's name, because I didn't know who he was in the first place. And there's been a few like that I've just picked up from bookshops and stuff. But a top 20 autobiographies, definitely. In fact, I'm going to look forward to researching that way more than the top 20 Wildhearts singles. But I definitely will do that. Some great actors' autobiographies. Some really good ones. That would be amazing. Doing a top 20 autobiographies. I'm just going to go back and read most of those books again. That would be fucking brilliant. Anyway, Paul Lambert says, are you a completist with any bands you love? Like, have to own every release, every bootleg. It's getting harder these days with bands releasing 749 different coloured vinyls. Well, I've got to hold my hand up and plead guilty to that. The Wildhearts, which album was it? 21st Century Love Songs came out. Orange vinyl. Everyone bought the orange vinyl. And the next week, there's blue as well. So everyone was like, I've got the orange one now. I'll buy the blue one. And the next week, here's purple. I hate that. Any band who does that, who gets a chart placing based on pretending to their fans, conning their own fans into buying more than one copy of something they would have otherwise only bought one copy of, completists aside, you don't deserve your chart placing, and your record company should be lined up against the fucking wall and shot with potato guns and spunk. No, it's not fair. It's a rip-off, and you got to be held accountable for that if you're going to allow that. And I didn't allow that. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I've still got to say I've done that. I've made people buy more than one copy or been in that position. Am I a completist? No, not just. When I was a kid, I don't know, I had to have all of the Kiss things and all of the different coloured vinyls of, Motorhead, the three, was it Bomber with the three faces on the front? Or was that Overkill? But yeah, different vinyls and stuff. No, not now. Not now. I'll pick a vinyl colour I like and I'll buy that. But I don't even care if I get black vinyl. I'm not a completist. I'll buy vinyl to listen to, really. So I'm not really one for having loads of copies of the same thing, because I'm only going to listen to one of them. So no, I'm not a completist. But I'm an obsessive, and I will get into a band and then I'll love them so much I'll buy the album that I listen to, and then I'll be so obsessive over it, I'll go and buy all of their other albums before that one turns up. And I've done that a few times, and then end up with like 5 or 6 albums by a band and realise there's only one of the albums I really like. So I try not to do that because it's fucking expensive. So no, I'm not a completist. I tend not to do that, but I am an obsessive. I am addicted to music. So producer Phil's showing me a Motorhead copy of Overkill by Motorhead, fully autographed by the original band members, and is £1,791.
Bomber, 2,025 quid.
2,000 quid for Bomber.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hey, if you got the money and you want to spend it on stuff like that, who am I to say it's ridiculous? But I just think it's absolutely absurd. I've paid £100 for, when Steve Albini died, I paid £100 for a Big Black live album that came out officially and then was deleted. And it's always bugged me that I never got a copy of it. You can't get cheap copies of it. And when he died, I thought, fuck it, I'm going to buy it. And I played it once. So fucking stupid. But I do also want, if I ever get a load of money and I don't have to pay for a load of fulfillment that should have already been fulfilled for albums you should have got 3 years ago. If I ever do get a load of money that sits in my bank account doing nothing, I probably will buy the Big Black Headache EP with the original cover, which is a guy who's obviously a shotgun to the head picture, and the doctor's just got both sides of his head and he's pulling them together on a table. It's absolutely disgusting. But I remember walking past this all the time when I was much younger, when it first came out, actually, and it was in a record shop. And I only saw it once, and then after that, they made them put a piece of card over the picture. And I never bought. I don't know why I didn't buy this. Probably skint. Probably needed to spend the money on drugs or something. But I would like to own that. I will get that one time when I've got money that actually stays in my account long enough to burn a hole in something. But not just yet. I'm not destined to be rich just yet. But I am destined to maintain the trust of the people that buy my music. That's better than being rich. Much better than being rich, actually. From Math. Hi, Ginger. Hi, Math. When you are expressing gratitude while out walking, are you talking to anyone in particular, God or Mother Nature, or even yourself? Thanks for the podcast. No, I'm not. It's one of the tricks. These glasses are really bugging me today, so I'm going to take them off for a second. It's one of the tricks I realised when you're first trying to improve your life. The first point of call is, am I worth it? Do I deserve it? And then the answer is assumingly yes. So you have to fake it to make it. And when you're dealing with your old set of beliefs and behavioural patterns, then you're in a kind of a loop. You're stuck there. You've got to get out of that loop. You can only get out of that loop by pretending that there's something else going on. Like, hey, look at that over there. Basically what my gratitude became. I would find myself in a terrible headspace, depression taken over, didn't know what to do with it. So I would pretend to be grateful for things. And I'd, as anyone knows who suffers from any kind of serious debilitating depression, you can't be grateful for anything. We're immersed in this. It saps all joy, all love. You can't love anything. I can look at Maggie and she's just a dog. Or at least it used to be the case. So I would pretend to be grateful. After a while, I just kept doing it, a bit like building a muscle. Little by little, till you start seeing a difference. I started noticing a difference. Now I can, be in a bad headspace. I can really feel grateful for things because my mind got used to going, okay, we're over there now. And that is one of the most important, if not the most important parts about self-improvement, is that fake it to make it thing, because it works. Then you become a conduit for gratitude. So when I go out now, I can be grateful. No matter what else is going on in my life, I can genuinely be authentically grateful. And I'm grateful for so much. And it's almost opened up that portal that I was just imagining was there. And then it was there and it was a little hole. And now it's just the whole wide spectrum. Am I talking about anything in specific? No. I think that's where belief has got a bad reputation. People just think God, and then with God comes, church, and then with church comes, kiddie fiddlers and corruption. All of the connotations that go with the word God are all man-made, all man's behaviour towards other men, and unfortunately women and boys. So I eliminate all connection to anything that applies to anyone else. So my thing, it hasn't got a name. It's just the non-physical component of my life, and I believe it's there. And because I believe it's there, as soon as I connect with it, it's there all the time. It's there all the time anyway. I'm sure when I go to sleep, it's off reporting. It's going to work, reporting or going back to where it belongs to, going, it's fucking horrible now. But no, I don't have a deity or a thing. I just have another part of me. It's consciousness, I guess I call it. It's consciousness experiencing my life or being a human through my life. And that thing used to be a little part of me, and then it was half of me, and now it's most of me. And whether that's still faking it to make it, I don't know. But I know that it does work. And since I've been working on that spiritual side, my physical side has improved so much. I mean, to say I'm fitter than I've ever been is ridiculous. I'm incredibly healthy now. And I've always been I can't believe I'm still here, kind of healthy, just like hanging on well, but not convincing anyone. And now I feel like I can feel my body. When I'm walking up hills, I can feel my muscles. It's not just pain in my legs. I can feel everything work, my back, my shoulders. It's all working. So the connection to the non-physical really helps the physical. And to say that connection to the non-physical, helping the physical, has a benefit to your mind. I've come off medication because it's that beneficial. You can't come off medication and you're not technically faking it to make it at that point. You've been addicted to medication your whole life almost, pretty much definitely the main part of your life. And then to come off that and to say to all the doctors, I've got this one, I'm taking this one now. It is working. There's absolutely no denying that the spiritual and the physical improvements that I've been making are helping my mind deal with anything that comes at it. Now I just deal with it. Mind, body and spirit. It absolutely, in my experience, works better than anything. And if anyone just says, just body, just go to a gym, it's not going to work. You're just developing one of them. You can't just develop one part, your mind, body or spirit, leave any one of them behind and the other two are going to suffer. I do believe that. I don't believe, there's a triangular element to the meaning of life, I keep seeing a triangle with a circle inside. I don't know what that is. I continue to meditate on that. But yeah, when I talk to something, it's just the better part of this experience. The bit of this experience that doesn't die. Let's face it, the bit that goes on. And we all fucking use microwaves, and we all use waves, sound waves. So we all use fucking remote. So we believe in energy. We believe in waves. So there's just a big world of it out there that we should stop denying. And Phil says, hi, Ginger. Hi, Phil. Thank you very much for the podcast. They're like chatting to an old friend. Oh, thank you. Very funny and entertaining. Please, may I ask, how do you choose the support bands for your gigs? I hear an awful lot of bands, and some of them aren't trying hard enough to be themselves. And when I see a band or hear a band that just sound like they can't help but be themselves, they can't help the sound that they make because it's them. It makes them sound 50% better, whatever style of music or whatever a level of playing. It just makes them sound, the authenticity makes them sound better. So usually it's a band that don't really give a shit what's going on trend-wise. They're in a field of their own, and that gets to me. And then obviously it's got to appeal to you. So I think, well, you're going to love this lot. The personality, the aspect of it, you're going to really take to, but also the music. The music has an honesty to the consistency, and I think that's what makes loads of bands go on and they're great for a song or two and then they fucking bore the audience. It's got to be something that they really believe in. So I usually, whenever I sense that a band really believe in what they're doing, that usually does it for me. And I'm not talking about reinventing the wheel. You don't have to sound really original, but if you're going to sound like Blackberry Smoke, then it better be the only thing that you really want to do. Otherwise, I'm going to tell if there's an Oasis fan in there because it's just not selling it. And also, if you want to sound like Oasis, trying to play something, basically just be yourself and you've got more of a chance of getting on a stage with the Wildhearts. That's what I would say. Have you been at gigs where the support band blew the headline band off the stage? Fuck yeah. So many times. I've seen that happen. I mentioned it the other week, Cheap Trick doing that to Motley Crue, and it was funny because people knew that was going to be the case. Everyone liked Motley Crue, but no one thought they were a proper group. It wasn't like they were going to come here and compete with the big boys. They were just this bunch of troublemakers who played this kind of noisy music, and it was good enough. It was good enough for me. But to get Cheap Trick on, one of the greatest bands that ever fucking drew breath, to support you and still expect to have your bad boy image get you through a set that's twice as long as the band who've just been on. Never going to work. Never going to work. Experience and talent will win every time. But when I was a kid, I went to see Kiss on tour and I just hitchhiked. I had no money. I just hitchhiked and blagged my way in to every single gig. And it was the Lick It Up tour. And I didn't really like Kiss at this point. I was bored and I was in South Shields. There was no opportunities, nothing happening. I thought, I'm going to go and do this. And there was a band called Helix supporting them. I'd never heard of Helix. I went down and checked them out. First gig, great. I'm still not going home. I'm still going to the next gig. And it was an adventure at that point. And then I turned up the next gig. Kiss were just the same. Helix somehow managed to be a bit better because I knew a couple of the songs. 3 gigs in, Helix, they were just putting so much into the show. Every single night, the singer, Brian Vollmer, I think his name is, would jump off the drum riser and do a spiral in the sky and then land. And he wasn't graceful. I never saw him land well. He'd just land in a clump. He'd land on his back. He'd land on his knees, crumpling up. And every time you were just going, you fucking psychopath. And the whole band were like that. There was so much energy and so much gratitude. I think it must have been either their first UK tour or maybe, they're just the first in a while. But there was an audience there that were into them and they were loving it. And Kiss, on the other hand, couldn't give less of a shit. They weren't trying. They were really going through the motions. And after a while, I was a fucking, I was a big enough fan to go and attempt this ridiculous trip around the country to see this band that I kind of liked. I was leaving the shows. I was a couple of songs in. I'm just like, I've seen Helix. And I was just going for Helix at the end. Only thing that got to me about it is I got to meet Kiss there. Not great experiences, but I never got to meet Helix. And Helix are the sort of band that we would have just kept in touch. We would have probably been mates and done gigs by now. But Helix blew Kiss off the stage every single night, and it wasn't even funny. It wasn't even, well, I'm going to hang out for the last. I love Bombs, and I couldn't even be bothered to stay in the show to see Black Diamond and the big pyro going off. I didn't even care. I'd seen Helix, and that was the best part of the night. So yeah, Helix was the most brutal takedown from a support band I've ever seen, because they were absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I've seen it a few times where the headline bands come on and they've just been going through the motions for a little bit too long, and the support band have been hungry and coming up. And to be honest, I think that's what happened with Izzy Stradlin. I think he was tired of it all. He probably left Guns N' Roses at this point. He was going around doing his band and stuff and just going, I'm playing smaller venues and it's not really. He had dreadlocks at the time. He had dreadlocks, and he told us off for smoking weed in the corridor of Nottingham Rock City. He was obviously bored. We were just coming up, man. It was when Bam was in the band. We were just ready for we had the taste of blood in our mouth. I wouldn't be surprised if he just saw us take him down that night, and that was why we got sacked. But it's a beautiful thing when a band can't even be bothered to bring their A game because they know you're going to turn up anyway. And when the support band go like, we're going to, if this is our crowd, we're having you lot. And you can. And I always say to any band, that's why I always try and get really good bands. I always say to any band that support us, that lot out there are yours if you want them, if you can get them, and they're loyal and they've been with me for fucking 20 odd years. They'll be loyal to you if you treat them well. Go and get them, And I want them to, keep us on our toes. But I want that relationship with the support band. I don't even like using the term support band because I still remember full well being in that position. And it's a great position. I don't feel bad about any bands going on. The potential's great. It's Wonderland. You could steal every one of these fans. You could end up selling so much merchandise that you guys fucking minted for the rest of the tour if you don't sell another t-shirt. It's a great place to be. So support bands, do blow off the fucking headline bands. That's your job. Headline bands, chill out and fucking be cool. I think that was it. I am done. This is a weird one. It's the first time I've done a podcast where I've just come from a walk and I'm my head's in two places. Normally I go and I do my little workout, jump in the shower, come down and I'm there. And so this has been odd, but it's been weird because I've been ignoring producer Phil, who's over there, and I haven't enjoyed that bit. But as always, been brilliant to be here. Thank you very much. How many podcasts in now? This is 28. 28 podcasts. I think by the time you're doing 28 podcasts and you've talked for literally more than a full day, there's 24 hours of talk, it's official. Your podcast is working. And if you're still there watching this, thank you very much for making it work. You're fucking brilliant. Here's to another 28 more. Have a fantastic weekend. Brilliant. Don't ignore your non-physical aspect. Bye.